All right, guys, what's going on? Got us another box today. What's inside? What do you say we open it and find out? Oh, we have a auto sound and security in here. Interesting. Let's see what else is in here. Wow, this thing is packed up super securely. Just wondering why the box is so big, because I know what's in here and it doesn't need that big of a box. You guys see it yet? I just feel like it's missing something. There we go. Before we take a look at the amp, let's find out which magazine is in here. Like an auto sound and security. Oh, it's from Elite Audio. Brantley Waites. He's the first one that hit 160 dB back in the day. Bill Proud was shortly thereafter. I don't think I even have this one. Very cool. Look at that, it's got US amps. This is definitely one that I don't have. I do not remember this one. Has this got him in it? Yeah, there it is. Brantley Waites, 168 dB Ford, page 42. Oh wow, unimaginable. Cerwin-Vega Stroker, 12 Cerwin-Vega Stroker 15s, clamshell, 3 200 amp alternators back in the day when 200 amps alternators were big, US amps, amplifiers, esoteric audio competition batteries, 18 of them. Wow, heck of a build. Very cool. Thanks for sending that. And if you're in the Lexington, South Carolina area, you can check out Elite Audio. They do indoor and outdoor music systems, home theater, networking, Wi-Fi, new construction wiring, outdoor TVs, all kind of good stuff. So make sure you check them out. So here is the Xtant. This is the 1001dx. It's a big Xtant amplifier from back in the day. And yeah, let's take a closer look. I think we got to take these screws out of the top so that we can see underneath. They had a complete shroud that covered up the amplifier. I posted something on Facebook asking if somebody had one of these, I could borrow it, because I just wanted to do an amp dyno test and make a video, show off one of these. And Xtant amplifiers had modules and all kind of crazy stuff. So I was really looking for the monoblock, because this would be the easiest one for me to test and I didn't have to worry about all the configuration, but there's still a lot going on here. Let me take off the top panel and we'll take a look inside. Thanks to Facebook and some people responding, I was able to dig up some history on Xtant. 1994 in March, Xtant was started by the former PPI president, Jeff Schoon. And 1995, January, they introduced the actual products at the CES, Consumer Electronics Show, which back then there was 2 different or multiple CESs per year. And 67 Vet here he showed off. This is a 427 Vet, very sweet. This had his Xtant amplifiers, 3 JL Audio 8W6 subwoofers. It had 2 of the 2200i amplifiers, which is the first model that Xtant came out with. You can see it stacked here in the back of the Vet. Very cool looking. And yeah, these amps were very unique. Carolyn Hall Young helped design the exterior of these. Carolyn Hall Young was an amazing artist and designer of these and the old Art Series PPIs as well from back in the day. And here is a license plate, again with her really cool artwork. God rest her soul. 1996, Mitek or MTX bought out Xtant and kept the amplifier brand going. And in 97-98, they introduced the new X series, which is the 1001dx is the model that we have, and that's the one we're going to be showing today. So we're going to get out a 1998 Car Audio and Electronics directory and take a look here and see about this amplifier. Right at the top, retailed for $11.99 back in 1998. According to Inflation Calculator, that's about $2,150 in 2022. So these amps were not cheap. Here are the specs. You can see 250 by 1 at 4 ohms, 500 by 1 at 2 ohms, and 1000 by 1 at 1 ohm. One of the big selling points of this amp, other than the 4-year warranty, was the fact that they had all the components, or you could get them all built in. The balance line driver, EQ, crossover, noise gate, and everything built in via modules. Of course, these were add-on modules that you had to buy for your amplifier and have installed by your local installer or dealer. I'll touch on these a little bit more later in the video. There you have it. So here is the amplifier. As you can see, it just has this shroud, really just decorative. Got these little holes in it, kind of, it's kind of chrome plated, it looks like. Not really any function. It's really just for looks, I take it. And here you can see there's a fan that tunnel cools the transistors. But these amps were made by Bruce McMillan, who was at PPI before, very famously made the PPI 2350DM, which was one of the first amps that was supposed to be kind of the same power between multiple loads. And later moved, after Xtant, moved to JL Audio and the Slash series amps, which were the same way. Highly regulated, but again, 2 ohms to 1 ohm. They kept similar output power. So he's a well-accomplished amplifier designer. But the unique thing about these Xtant amps is they have a lot of little jumpers and modules and stuff. And the main reason I got this one, or borrowed this one from Brantley, is because it's a monoblock. I thought it would be the easiest one of the Xtant amps to test, because there's still a lot going on here. But hopefully I don't need any other modules. Hopefully it's all set up as far as that goes. 2 60 amp fuses here. You can see some of the filter caps there. Power in, remote, ground, and 12 volt. Looks like we may be able to get 4 gauge in there through a fork style connector. Speaker outputs are here. And then we have RCA inputs and outputs here. Now, we talk some about Tiffany style RCAs a lot. These are not Tiffany style. These actually mount right to the board. Now, the biggest advantage of the Tiffany style is they're also called panel mount, because they mount to the panel of the amplifier and not the board like this. So the benefit of that is not only is the connection better, but it puts less stress on the board than RCAs like this, as I can even feel that one. They all kind of seem a little bit loose to the touch. So that's the advantage of the Tiffany. Not only that, but they seem to always have a little bit tighter connection as well. So there we have the Xtant 1001D. And I guess nothing really left for us to do now other than to wire it up. And we will try it out on the amp dyno, see how it performs. What do you say? Before we get started with the amp dyno, I did have to do some checking on the amp to see how the sensitivity works. And right here where I've circled, there's a line of pins that allow you to adjust your input gain sensitivity selection. And these were set down to the really high voltage. So I decided to put them right about in the middle, which this will give me the ability to adjust between 1 and 3 volts. So I'm going to move these jumper pins here up to right in the middle. And that gives you the range, again, like I said, of 1 to 3 volts. So that's what we're going to use for the test. Now, this amp is kind of complicated because it has an amp phase select adjustment here, normal invert, crossover slope 12 dB or 24 dB per octave. Then you could get different frequencies here that you could plug in for the crossover selection, line out mode, high pass slope mode, all this stuff, in addition to another frequency adjustment for the high pass output. Then you had the balance line module that you could buy to give you balance line transmission, as well as the EQ module, which this one actually has an EQ module. It's the LFQ45. Had to pull up the spec sheet to see what this was. It's a bass boost, 45 hertz, either +4, +8, or +12 dB. I'll be honest, when I first got the amp, I was a little overwhelmed with all the settings, but after a few minutes and kind of studying the installer's manual, it's not too bad. Now, the 4 gauge power inputs are way too close together. I was able to make these work, but geez, that was a horrible design. Have the Xtant amp hooked up. Here you can see we have 4-gauge power and ground. We have 8-gauge for the speaker outputs. We have our RCAs connected right here. Always make sure you connect your RCAs last. Thanks to Kevin Kruger for pointing that out in one of my other videos of the SoundStream Little Wonder. It is important that you hook up your RCAs last. And that's something that I always do. I just don't mention it. So there you go. Well, let's fire it up. Hopefully no fire. So let's turn it on, see what we got. We have a fan and we have a light. What is that light? Red LED says power is on. Blue LED says low voltage. Yellow says low impedance. So red is good at this point. I'm going to zoom in so you can see red right there. See it? Let's check and make sure we're not getting excessive current. That is the fan making that noise. That is not the transformer. Unboxing, history, all that stuff, hooking it up, all that's completed. Now let's get to the fun part, checking it out on the dyno. You'll see the wattage output, the ohm load, and the voltage, as well as the current consumption from the clamp meter's remote display. We'll also show you efficiency. We'll show you for each different load. At 4 ohms, the amp is rated 250 watts. It doesn't say the voltage because it's a range. These are regulated amplifiers, but 315 is what we got certified at 14.26 volts. So it's above the rated power. It's not 14.4. We're between, 13.5 and 14.5. So let's reset the dyno here. What I was doing with the camera, and the reason it's moving around so much, is I was trying to get that yellow reflection off of the screen, but it turned out it was from the remote display here on the clamp, so I had to just kind of leave it. I was trying to leave the remote display in a place you could see it better. People have commented before when I kind of attach it to the amp dyno at the top, it's hard to read it. So we'll just have to go with that. I'll give you the voltage as we do the test. Uncertified at 4 ohms, 40 hertz, all the tests are today. Let's see what we get. Not much different. 317 at 14.2. Next up, we'll reset the dyno for the dynamic test. And typically, these highly regulated amplifiers do not give extreme dynamic power. It's just part of the power supplies clamping down. And as that's apparent here, 317 watts at 14.22. Now, being from 1997-98, this is an early Class D amplifier, 69.5, so right at 70% efficiency, which is decent but not great. 2 ohms mono, it's rated 500 watts. Try certified test first, a 1% THD. Yep, we get that power easily, 586 at 14.04. Let's reset the dyno for the uncertified test, takes us up to clipping. We were running these tests off of the AGM bank, so we were trying to keep the voltage, between, like I said, 13.8 and 14.4. Uncertified 601 at clipping, 13.93. So it's good power. It beats its ratings, and that's, that's all we're looking for. When we do the dyno test is just for an amp to meet its ratings or beat them slightly. Dynamic burst test doesn't get quite as high as an uncertified test. 595 at 13.99. What about the efficiency? At 2 ohms, 70.9, it's almost 71% at 2 ohms. It's virtually identical to the 4 ohm efficiency. That's good. 1 ohm mono is rated 1,000 watts. 1,000 watts back in 1998 was a lot of power, friends. Certified test first. And yes, we get the 1,000 watts. 1,066 at 13.67. You can see we pulled 172 total amps of current, but we'll show you at the end at the end of these runs what the efficiency was at the wattage output. Uncertified up to clipping, 1,064 watts, 13.58. Our voltage is dropping just slightly a little bit more because we didn't have any chargers on the batteries or anything, just letting them kind of naturally fall in voltage. Dynamic. It's crazy how close all three tests are. Virtually identical. 1,077 at 13.33 volts. What about the 1 ohm efficiency? Yeah, she dropped quite a bit. 58% at 1 ohm. As for the results, here you got it. All the results of the test met and exceeded the rated power. Very nice. This old amp from 1998 did its work. People were right. Xtant was true to its word. Here's a thermal shot of the amplifier using the FLIR. You can see a few things. Mainly these resistors were hot, and this one was really hot. I measured over 220 degrees Fahrenheit, and it turned out to be a high-powered resistor. I thought it was one of the caps, but it's okay. So there you go, friends. My first dyno test of an Xtant amp. This is the 1,000 watt. This is the big one back in the day. Yeah, it's kind of complicated. Got a lot of little switches and pins and really cool shroud that goes over top of it. You know, my thought was initially, what a pain this amp is to hook up. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what? If you were an installer back in the day, this was really cool because you could set it up. You could get all the settings the way you needed it, the way the customer needed it for their system. And you could put the shroud on and put the screws in, and they can't touch anything unless they're willing to take the thing apart. So big shout out to Chris St.Aubin for sending this to me, this authorized dealer plaque. Extremely cool. Also a huge shout out, of course, to Brantley Waites at Elite Audio for sending me the amplifier to test. I appreciate you guys watching as always. Hope you enjoyed this video on the Xtant 1001dx. Big D, I'm out of here.
Thing sounds pretty good. You know how them sound waves go?
Xtant 1000 watt amp. Let's try 8 ohms. Certified test first to 1% THD. $156 at 14.38. Uncertified to clipping, 8 ohms. $158 at 14.36. Dynamic burst, 40 hertz, 8 ohms. $158, 14.36. So I do videos like this just to show these older amplifiers. A lot of people are curious what they really did, you know, what they're really about, and I love the history of car audio. So I hope you guys enjoyed this throwback video on this Xtant 1001dx. Till next time, you know where Big D is. I'm out.